Hi there, Mariah.
Wonderful.
How are you?
Hi, Angel. I
It
am
is
so good.
good. It is so good to see you since like 30 days ago. How
Right?
have you been?
Blessed. I cannot complain. I'm embracing all that life is, the ups, the downs, in between, the knowing, the uncertainty, all of it.
All of it.
All of it.
All of
Grateful
it.
for spring. It's
Yes.
warm
Yes.
consistently now.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
it's new, but I'm finding so much joy in just like the sun and how much it's charging me. And I'm
Same
staying
here.
focused on the good things.
Same here.
That's where I am.
Same here. Oh gosh, I am so happy to be here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the YouTube channel. I hope I'll be able to see folks on there. And I'm really grateful that you were able to be on live with me tonight. So we are going to go ahead and get started with tonight's episode. Let me turn off the volume there, and I think we'll have a chat feature on the side. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So it is so great to see you all. Angel Shannon here, Soil, Soul, and Spirit tonight. Mariah, my beautiful guest, and not even guest, my co-host, Mariah Palmer. We are together tonight talking about grounding practices. We are so excited to talk about what it means, first of all, what it means to ground ourselves in nature for physical, mental, and spiritual well being. Mariah is going to share some amazing practices for grounding, and we're going to talk about how this connects to the body, soul, spirit, all of that. Right, Mariah? What do you think?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
I'm so excited. There's so many parallels to draw and discuss between the natural world and ourselves as we are a
Yes.
part of it.
Yes.
We must never forget that. So I'm very
Yep.
excited for this conversation because I feel like it's natural. It makes sense for the both of us coming from
Exactly.
both
Yep.
ways. So I'm so
Exactly.
joyous to be here.
Yes. So I want to tip this, get this conversation going with what does it even mean to say that we're doing grounding practices, right? So I was
Mm,
Googling and I'm like, okay, for a
yeah.
lot of people, they may not even know what is grounding, right? So I don't know if
Hmm.
you find this, Mariah, like in your travels where people are like,
Yeah.
they hear the word grounding, but it really is just like a self-soothing skill set, a set of
Hmm.
practices that we engage with for the
Hmm.
ultimate purpose of self-soothing, right? And bringing our attention back to the present moment.
Inward.
Bringing
Hmm.
our attention inward,
Yes.
exactly, to the present moment, and
Hmm.
redirecting our thoughts away from the things that produce anxiety, nervousness,
Yes.
tension,
Hmm.
difficulty focusing, bringing our attention away from stress inducing thoughts and emotions and
Hmm.
bringing it back into the present moment, into where we are right now.
Hmm.
And that right now is where we are physically, mentally, in that moment,
Yes.
the moment that we
Yes.
have the most power and influence, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Because we don't have influence over anything that's already happened in the past.
Nope.
And we can certainly try to mold the future, but again,
Hmm.
the future is not really in our hands. There are a lot of
I
other
agree.
factors. So what we really do have is this moment, right?
Yep. We
And
have this
so,
moment.
right. And
Hmm.
so that it's like a really simplistic way of thinking about grounding practices. It can sound very esoteric to many people.
Yeah.
It can sound kind of woo-woo to people as well, but ultimately, it really is just about bringing our attention and our consciousness back to the present moment. What do you think, Mariah?
Mm. There's just so much power in it. So much that you can learn about yourself amongst like this process of grounding. I
Mhm.
also sort of see it as a skill. I can't say it's something I have always been good at doing, but
Mhm.
over the past, I'd say 5 years of my life, I've been very intentional about finding what those things are for me.
Mhm.
um, and understanding that that may fluctuate and change depending on the season that I'm in. and what serves me, right? But I do think it is, like you were saying, very important to kind of have a core knowing of self and just knowing how to bring yourself back in
Mm-hmm.
presently, because that is where clarity arrives, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't see if the waters are not still, right? If there's ripples, right? So creating that time, those practices, those meditations, the walks, whatever that is, um, to bring yourself back in, because there will always be inevitably these external factors, people, circumstances at work, financial stress,
Mm-hmm.
friendships, right? There's all these external things. But
Yes.
before we are able to show up as our best selves, in order to do so, we have to acquire skills and grounding practices. And for me, that is huge. Before I do anything, I have to feel whole
Yep.
within before
Yep.
I can serve anyone else. So
Mm-hmm.
it's everything.
It's
Grounding is
everything.
truly everything.
Yeah.
It's the root,
It
right? It's
is.
the
It
root of
is.
everything. So
It is. It really is.
so
And
powerful.
it is so powerful. And as you said, we have to be whole within ourselves. We have to be present in our
Hmm.
own current reality. I always say we
Hmm.
live, we dwell in parallel realities, multiple realities.
Mm.
There's our collective reality as a species
Hmm.
all over the planet, right? All over the
Absolutely.
planet, we
Hmm.
are all sharing the same sun, the same moon, all that collective
Hmm.
experience. But then there's just our
Mm.
own individual experience as well.
Hmm.
And so, how do we root and ground ourselves while we are walking in two different realities or two coexisting realities?
Mm.
How do we,
Oh, I
remain
love that.
present
I'm writing that
in the,
down.
how do we remain present in the collective
Mm.
reality? Lots of
Hmm.
people right now are feeling a tremendous amount of anxiety over global political upset and unrest. And then
Hmm.
they have their own realities within their household that there
Hmm.
may be some unrest. And so,
Hmm.
how can we exist and coexist and then, think about our collective reality and our individual reality at the same time?
Hmm.
And I just don't know any better way to do that than by way of learning grounding practices and to bring ourselves
Yes.
back to ourselves. So,
Hmm.
before you
Ah.
share your tips or your grounding practices, and I share mine, I want to talk
Hmm.
about the physical, the human part of this, and then
Mm.
you're going to take it away with like sort of the nature part of this with the practices, I suppose.
Sure. Hmm.
And I just wanted to sort of offer that soil itself, soil,
Hmm.
is the most grounding experience we can ever have, right? It's soil,
Hmm.
our ability to touch soil,
Hmm.
to feel soil under our feet and in our hands is a
Hmm.
very important act of grounding emotionally, but physically, when you touch soil, okay, when you hold soil in your hands, you're not in a glove, I mean on your palms, such
Hmm.
that microbes are then absorbed into your skin and into your body, you are doing something really powerful for your brain health. Okay, so I want to talk about the brain health science of this. There are specific gut bacteria. We all have, a human gut, and we have what's called a gut microbiome. And in that
Hmm.
microbiome exists thousands upon thousands of different types of microbes, okay?
Hmm.
Soil has specific microbes that are healthy for the human gut,
Hmm.
diversity in the human gut. Why this is important is because there is a direct connection between your gut and your brain, okay? When you
Hmm.
feel anxious, right? What happens? Sometimes your stomach gets upset, sometimes you may feel a little queasy. When you feel a strong feeling and it's like, "Oh gosh, I know I should call that person." We call it my gut told me. I had a
Right.
gut
Hmm.
feeling, right?
Hmm.
So being in nature, touching soil, touching
Hmm.
grass, touching, living beings in nature, the trees, the grass, as I
Mhm.
said, the soil, plants, flowers, helps to diversify our own gut microbiome. It
Mhm.
grounds our gut, so to speak. And
Mhm.
those microbes are healthy for the neuroplasticity, the brain function that we need
Mhm.
to exist throughout the day, to work at our optimal best throughout the day. Is that making sense? I hope it is.
Oh, it absolutely does. I'm completely following,
Mm-hmm,
and I'm very much so in agreement.
mm-hmm,
I think it's important to. I like how you said. Let me explain, like the body or the human aspect of this,
mm-hmm,
because we have to remind ourselves. Like, yes, we're living in 2025. Um, we often spend most of our time in enclosed buildings, right? Some may have windows, some may not. We also have these rubber soled shoes that are, disconnecting us from the earth. And it is so important to remember kind of our roots and what we truly come from,
mm-hmm,
and how we evolved to be who we are today. And exposing ourselves to nature and natural things, the natural world in general, really helps to align several other parts of your life. And
mm-hmm.
you come to notice, like, even just as people start to surround themselves with more plants, or spring comes about and people are outside more, they're like, I just feel better. I feel
Mhm.
charged. I feel
Yes.
it's because that's where we come from, right? Before we had all of these buildings, and, we were outside and we were always exposed. And
Mhm.
so coming back to that, and sort of like coming back to that truth and that
Mhm.
sense of self, there's so much unlimited power in that. And
Absolutely.
I'm grateful for what I do for work, that I have that exposure for now, almost 4 years, and it's such a blessing,
Mhm.
because that's definitely aided in my natural journey of like healing and,
Yes.
self-awareness. So
Mhm.
just remembering that we are of nature, right? We are not separate of it. Like, oh, I love nature. To love nature is to love self, right?
Yes.
So you have to remember, right, these parallels, and yeah, why those
Mhm.
practices are so important.
Mhm.
And touching soil, yes, that's one of the many ways to do so.
Mhm.
That is
Mhm.
what we come from, right? It's what we come from, and it's what we will return to.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love you said to love nature is to love self. We are not
Mhm.
separate from, you
No.
and I talk about this on the podcast every single month about the fact that we are breathing out.
Mhm.
Nature is breathing in. Plants, the flora is breathing in. We are breathing out. There's
Mhm.
this dynamic exchange. It's never static.
No.
Trees are doing what they need to do to conserve their energy, their
Mhm.
nutrients
Mhm.
all winter long. We're doing the same thing because it's cold outside, even
Exactly.
though we're getting outside, but we're still doing what needs to be done to preserve,
Mhm.
our health and well-being and our
Mhm.
nutrients and our fat stores and things like this.
Yep.
Some of us put on a couple of extra pounds over the winter months, and it's true, but
Right.
it's a very good thing.
It's
Our
natural.
body's protective mechanism, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so the more we get back to being rooted in these fundamentals and understanding
Mhm.
that this is the flow of nature and that we're flowing with it
Mhm.
individually in our own individual experience, but
Mhm.
also collectively
Oh,
as
I
a
love thinking that
species,
way.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
our parallel realities. And also
Mhm.
knowing too, part of that understanding for me, as I've studied
Mhm.
many wisdom teachings over the years about parallel realities, is that
Mhm.
we are creating the next reality. Every moment we are
Mm.
creating the next reality. So for me, when I think about grounding practices, if
Mhm.
I want, let's just say, if I want my husband to be, um, calm when he gets home from work, it would
Mhm.
help if I am calming myself. If I want to
Oh,
calm those
love
in
that.
my workplace, it would help if I start with self because I am creating the next reality, right? So if
Yes.
I get myself up in the morning and do some grounding practices, I'm setting
Mhm.
myself up for the reality of when I get to the
Oh,
workplace, right?
I
Now,
love
I'm
that.
not saying that I'm going to control what people do in the workplace, or my husband, he could very well
Hmm.
come home and be irritable and whatnot. But if I am grounded and
Yeah.
rooted in this that I create for myself,
Yes. That
then I
piece.
can create that new environment, that next reality
Yes. I
beyond.
love that.
Yeah. And so parallel realities are
Hmm.
also about the fact that we are always one step away from that next
Yeah.
part, that next
Yeah.
reality, that next
Hmm.
interaction with someone. We are constantly
Yes.
creating new
Hmm.
moments.
Hmm.
And that's
That's
what
so
makes
beautiful.
these
Yeah.
grounding practices so special.
I love what you said about like just reminding us that we are a part of a collective, right? We are first ourselves, but we are a part of a whole. Um, and energy is felt, it is seen, it is heard,
Mhm.
and you carry it with you, right? And
Mhm.
I've been saying lately, this has really been resonating with me. The work that I'm doing is not just for me,
Exactly.
it's for my husband, it's for my amazing friendships, it's
Mhm.
for my work environment, the animals I interact with,
Mhm.
everyone, right? Like the things that I do to keep up with self are not just for me because we are a
Exactly.
part of this whole energy exchanging magnetic ecosystem, right?
Yes.
So I love thinking and reminding myself of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um let's go into what some of our own grounding practices are.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And can I just kick it off and ask before you share yours, what do you say
Hmm.
when people say, I don't have time for these things sound good. I know what they're going to say, but I just have a
Hmm.
really busy morning or I just don't have time
Mm,
for that. Lead us in with, maybe a
mm.
mindset shift as to why what we're sharing is so important to like root down into.
Yes, I think it's important to, yes, see these things as investments
Mhm.
of time,
Mhm.
but what better to invest in than self, right? When I think often when people think about investment, there is like this financial US dollar component that comes to it. But often when I say it, I'm like, what am I investing in myself? And whether I have 5 minutes or 50 minutes,
Mhm.
I am doing something or all of the things that I can to ground myself prior to starting my day
Mhm.
and prior to laying my head down for
Mhm.
rest
Mhm.
at night. And you have to show up for yourself, right? Again, if you're not showing up for yourself, how are you to show up for others whole,
Yep.
right? And I think that's a goal that we should all have.
Mhm.
Um, a collective, showing up the best that we can so that we even have space to take on our day. So, which is very important. I know it can be a little time consuming, but you will never regret it.
You
You will
never.
never regret it. You
No.
once you get in the practice, right? Things are about repetition.
Yes.
Things when we first try it, it's
Mhm.
terrifying. I
Mhm.
can say 5, 6 years ago, the idea of even any of these things we're about to speak about were terrifying.
Mhm.
Um, and where I used to maybe be able to meditate for 1 minute,
Mhm.
can now I can sit with self. I can't measure the time,
Right?
right? So I think there's a lot of practice. Believe it or not, my nails are done right now because my birthday just passed, but typically my hands are in soil every
Yeah.
day in
Mhm.
some shape or form.
Mhm.
But 10 years ago, I used to be like, oh, I don't really like that, right? And I'm
Yep.
trying to wash my
Mhm.
hands all the time. The closer I get to self and again to nature, the more comfortable I am with these practices and understanding that they need to be a regular part of my day.
Yes.
They're essential.
Yep. Yep.
They're literally essential. It's like water. Like
Yes.
just like I need water, I need my grounding
There
practices.
you
Well,
go.
that can be a grounding practice.
It can be. I was going to say. So share
Yes, I
yours.
have my big jug here. Um, since it's gotten warmer out, I'm gonna carry this around, so I have to um, refill it less. I also love it,
Yes.
the
Yep.
color. So
You
of
are so
course,
cute.
so I listed. You are so beautiful.
Thank you. I love
um,
us. Mm.
I love us. This is so good.
Yep.
Again, thank you everyone for being here. We're so happy to share. in this
Yes.
conversation. Um, so I wrote down a few of my own personal grounding practices. Um, so I wanted to speak a bit about deep breathing and the
Okay.
power in that. And this, like, it's the first thing that we do
Mm-hmm.
when we come out of our amazing mothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is we breathe, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this breath, this ever moving flow
Mm-hmm.
that keeps us going every day. Something I have been doing, I know we've talked about in the past, like the hand on my chest, hand on my
Yeah.
belly, but something I've also been doing recently is closing my eyes and practicing. Um, let's see if I can explain this. Hopefully, this comes out well. But practicing different, applying tension to different muscle groups in my body,
Yes.
holding it,
Uh-huh.
and then releasing.
Uh-huh.
There's ways to deepen your breath. So if you already feel like you're in the practice of like breath work and right, I'm going to inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale
Mm-hmm.
for 4 seconds, you can deepen
Mm-hmm.
that and
Mm-hmm.
really work down areas of your body. And as you tense
Mm-hmm.
and relax yourself through each breath and you go from head to toe,
Mm-hmm.
you can almost identify where you aren't grounded or where
Yes.
something is sitting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where is the energy sitting? Is it in our shoulders? Do we have tension in our hips? Is it in our toes? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
our feet are always flexed, our hands are always flexed and we don't
Mm-hmm.
realize.
The
So
shoulders, the
deepening that,
right.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll all see me adjust kind of
Mm-hmm.
often because I am staying aware. It's not just something I'm trying to do in the morning, but
Mm-hmm.
it's something I'm trying to be aware of over the day. But I think that takes like, just start from step one,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's
Yep.
like hand on the chest, hand on the belly,
Mm-hmm.
those deep belly breaths. And then you work down your body
Mm-hmm.
and you start, like really, really being aware of where
Yep.
things could be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my favorite grounding practices. And again, there's kind of a spectrum
Mm-hmm.
or ways that you can play with that and deepen that or
Mm-hmm.
lighten it, depending on what you need that day,
Mm-hmm.
or what you have time for,
I
of
love
course.
that. Like a body scan.
A body scan, but
Yeah.
but in tune with
The
the breath,
breath.
not just
Yep.
the brain, if
Exactly.
that makes
Yep.
sense.
Yep. No, no, I follow.
um,
Yeah, I love that.
so yeah, like one muscle group or one area of the body at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I love to break that down. Of course, as you were saying earlier, interacting with natural things.
Mm-hmm.
I love soil. I love plants. I love flowers. Lately, I've
Yes.
felt extremely fascinated by even just like rocks
Yeah.
and the fact that rocks turn to sand. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm collecting rock. Like
Mm-hmm.
I do this on and off, but I'm really collecting rocks lately, I realize. And I'm loving the feel of sand.
Yes.
Again, thinking of we are all part, we are ourselves, so we are part of a greater whole.
Mm-hmm.
Before a sand was sand, it was rock.
Mm-hmm.
Interacting with these natural things, that grounds me very
Yes.
much. I know we've talked about too barefoot walking just
Mm-hmm.
on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I have some allergy inflammation issues from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And on this past Monday, I went to the park and I was just, wow, oh my gosh, it's warm, guys. So you don't be afraid. I took
Mm-hmm.
my socks and my shoes off and I'm on my yoga mat. And then I was like, you know what, let me step off of this. It's
Mm-hmm.
safe, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that is the most safe you will be. And I swear it helped reduce some of the issues I was having. I
Yeah.
also had very sound sleep that night.
Mm-hmm.
So not only your hands, and all the sensations we experience there, but your feet as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that
Yep.
exposure.
Yeah.
So whatever you feel comfortable with, again, these things I feel like can deepen over time the
Mm-hmm.
more that you get comfortable.
Yes.
Um, let's see, I have a bunch of things here, but let's see what I like. Music and dance. So often I think when we think of grounding and rooting ourselves, it's associated always with like stillness,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have to
Mm-hmm.
be still. I find it very freeing to ground myself with some of my favorite songs and just moving my
And
body in the morning.
moving. Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
there's grounding in that movement.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that, right, I've been running lately, whether that's running to you or taking your time and doing strength and mobility exercises. I
Mm-hmm.
find that there's a lot of rooting that
Mm-hmm.
occurs through movement,
Mm-hmm.
um, not just mental, but truly like physical. And yeah,
Yeah.
I love that practice.
Yes, I agree with you. And I wanted to add to that um, the idea of dance. You know, all around the world, people
Oh,
dance. people
Yeah.
dance. They don't need to have a reason to dance.
No.
They don't have to be in a special place to dance. They don't
Hmm.
need any clothing to necessarily dance. People dance at weddings and funerals and births and all kinds, and to mark the coming of a new season and for
Yeah.
all different types of reasons. And you're right that dancing is like one of the very best ways to ground ourselves. And the other thing
Hmm.
is, I was thinking about what came to mind immediately is
Hmm.
drumming. I was thinking about just drumming, and you don't really need to have a whole drum set or a special drum.
No.
I mean,
Hmm.
it could be something as simple as,
Oh,
you doing your own beat, right?
see, like that just makes me so happy. But I don't know why, right? Well, we're because we're a part of a greater rhythm,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
This energetic exchange and rhythm, right? And through the drumming,
Yep.
there are frequencies and vibrations that occur physically in the physical world.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. I mean, and you
Yes.
you think about the fact that, you don't even if you don't have a pen and a book or something like this,
Hmm.
you always have your hands.
Yeah,
You have your lap,
it's so fun. Yeah,
to
yeah.
ground yourself. And when you feel that rhythm, you feel that beat, you feel just the energy that you're
Hmm.
putting back into yourself. And
Yeah.
even that it brings your mind and your attention to the rhythm of the beat. That is a very
Mm-hmm.
grounding thing to do. So I just wanted
Oh, I
to,
love
to
that.
insert that because
Yes,
you were saying that about
absolutely.
dance. Yeah. And
Yes.
music.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
We always think grounding has to be still, but there's so much
Yeah.
joy to be found and so much peace and centering to be found in that movement in its many forms. But yes, dance
Right.
especially.
And then
I
if
love
you're
that.
out in nature doing that,
Me too.
that's even more
Yes.
like,
Oh,
oh my
especially.
gosh. Yeah.
Right? You combine all these things or have again on Monday on my yoga mat, I went from peaceful stretches and meditating on my back to walking on the soil to playing around. Yes, putting my
Hmm.
AirPods in and dancing a little bit, not
Hmm.
caring who's watching, right? So all of these things are helpful, but especially in collective, like as a
Yes.
whole. So
Yes. Yes.
um, let's see. And then, of course, I wrote like prayer and deep meditation. So, on that
Hmm.
other end, stillness
Hmm.
and thinking, like, where is my heart?
Oh,
How is my heart feeling
yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
We are so, not only is it the very thing that keeps us going, right? This rhythm, I'm so grateful for it,
Hmm.
but it just really checking in and being in tune with what's going on and where your spirit you know what
Hmm.
do I need to talk about with
Yeah.
myself or
Yeah.
with God or with the earth,
Hmm.
whatever, how, like, let me take this time to check
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think for me often that's removing, right, if I'm looking for stillness and clarity in that way,
Hmm.
removing external stimulus,
Hmm.
being by myself, removing the light. I love light, but removing light, um,
Sometimes, right?
and just
Yeah.
paying attention. Oh wow.
Look at
Do you
that.
see that? That's insane. What was that? See?
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh.
That is so
No,
beautiful.
that was so beautiful. I am so happy that just happened.
That
There we
is
go.
so
So
beautiful. Oh my
that's
gosh.
basically the end. Well, that's the last thing I'll share on my list, but those are some of the things I do. And as always, if you guys have any questions or anything you want us to like talk about deeper or just talk to me separately or talk to Angel separately, please reach out to us. Instagram, my phone number, email. I have all the things. Um, but we have to
I
take the
just
time.
Yeah.
We have to
And
take the time.
I was gonna say as women for sure.
Hmm.
Yep. I was
Oh,
gonna
whew,
Yeah, as women,
yes,
that
which
whole
that's a whole
checking
nother thing.
in, I just wanted to say, like, statistically,
Hmm.
in public health and global health and World Health Organization statistics,
Hmm.
heart disease, women die from heart disease more than any of the cancers combined. So heart disease has always been like the leading,
Mm.
one of, if not the leading cause of death for women especially here in the United States,
Like
because
CVD, like cardiovascular disease. Hmm.
cardiovascular disease, yes. And so
Mm,
heart health, being attentive to
yes.
how is my heart feeling right now? Like,
Yeah.
am I feeling sadness? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling worried? These grounding practices, as you said, are an investment in our health and our well-being.
Hmm.
And having, I had a friend who would always say, she would like talk to herself and she would
Oh,
say,
that too.
hey girl, how we doing? At 12 noon, she'd just be like, hey girl, how we doing?
How are we doing?
Hey girl. And and I started
I
doing that.
love
And
that.
from time to time, I'm just like,
It helps.
all right, Angel, you need to sit down. All right,
Oh, it
Angel,
helps.
this is enough. You've
It
said
helps
enough.
so much. Because anyone else can say that,
Yeah.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
when you're really in tune and talking to self and being honest, like, Rye, let it
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Let it go.
Rye, sit
Let it
down.
go.
You've been on
Yeah.
your feet for
Yeah.
10 hours. Sit down.
You need to sit down. Yeah, talking to
Rye,
ourselves.
does this make you happy? Is this serving you?
Why are you
Maybe it's time to
doing
go.
this?
So
Yeah,
sometimes I verbalize all of that. Sometimes you have to keep that in. But regardless, this continuous conversation
yeah,
with self.
yeah.
I love that.
I'm gonna add a couple of mine.
Yes, please.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say this because I know that I don't talk about these things much, but I
Let's do
really, really love grounding essences like
it.
floral essences. I love um what do you call it?
Mm,
Sage. I love sage. I love like incense. They can be very, very grounding, especially when
mm-hmm.
I'm in the office. I see quite a few patients in a day, and
Yeah.
sometimes their energies are, a little heavy. So sometimes grounding
Mm-hmm.
essences for me are
Mm-hmm.
helpful, whether it be the floral essences or even
Mm-hmm.
just the incense, sage, frankincense,
Mm-hmm.
myrrh,
Mm-hmm.
some of copal, some of the other,
Yeah.
you know, uh, things like that are very, very helpful to be done
Mm-hmm.
in combination with my breathwork practices.
Yes.
Is very, very grounding for me.
Mm-hmm.
For many, many years, I have
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed working with crystals. And
Mm-hmm.
so I find, there are certain
Yeah.
crystals that I really do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Moonstone is one of the crystals I absolutely love,
Yes.
especially
Uh-huh.
around the new moon, time.
Mm-hmm.
New moon is well known as being the time that we plant seeds, we plant our intentions, we speak our
Mm-hmm.
intentions, we get very intentional about this next cycle, right? So the new
Yes.
moon is the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of
The
a new
beginning of that.
moon
Yep.
cycle as
Mm-hmm.
we get closer and closer to the full moon. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, even during a full moon, if I feel
Mm-hmm.
energetically like, oh my gosh, there's just so much energy going on, I will have my, moonstone and things like this. And I know that
Supporting you.
everything is, it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Another very, very grounding thing for me is water. When
Oh.
I feel like I am just really overwhelmed, a bath, getting in the tub, grounding myself in water is like, I mean, it just brings me from 10 right back down to zero.
You
It
have me thinking
shower,
about my shower right now.
yeah, and
And a candle
yeah, when I
and
come
low
home
lit.
from
Oh.
work, I
Mm-hmm.
have this transition ritual where, when I come home from work, I get in my shower and
Mm-hmm.
I just say, I wash off the energy of the day. Like whatever has gone
It's gone.
on, I'm washing it off. I'm grounding myself back here in my
Mm-hmm.
home, in my reality,
Yes.
and I'm bringing myself back to center. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's those are some of the few for me, but water has always been, even when
Yeah.
I'm really upset about something, if I go to the ocean, it doesn't matter. I'm not
Oh.
necessarily have to get in the water, but just being by the
All you
water.
have to even say is the ocean.
Yeah,
And there's so much even like peace that comes from that.
yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah,
back to the ocean in Hawaii specifically.
yeah,
But so
yeah,
I love that water. We're
yeah.
made of it,
We're made of it.
right?
And seeing the water coming in, the waves coming in and going back
Hmm.
out, it just reminds me of this cycle of life. Like, Angel, you're gonna have you
This
know,
give and
right.
take, this
And take
ebb and
this
flow.
ebb and this flow.
Similar to our breath.
Right,
Similar to our breath.
right, right,
Right? Oh,
right.
it's so beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that.
It's like the earth reminding me, Angel, I am breathing with you. Like, it's okay. Let's breathe
Oh my
together.
gosh, I have to write that down.
When I see
That's
those
what that
waves,
is. The ocean.
yeah, it's
We
like
need to write this down.
it's like the earth just saying to me, it's okay, Angel. Like, I am breathing
Oh,
with you. You know, every wave that comes in and that goes back out, it just reminds me, Angel, breathe.
wow.
We will get through this together, right?
I
So,
love that.
yeah, those are some of mine.
Wow. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
right, and I think to you all who are listening, this can look so different. Maybe it's simply doing your favorite things, right?
yeah,
Maybe that's I don't know. But
yeah,
whatever it looks like to you, I think it's important to find those
yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
And until you have them memorized and I kind of think of my tool chest. Like, what do I need to pull out of my toolbox today?
Yes,
And what I need today will be different than next Thursday, right? And that's okay.
yep,
But having this kind of repertoire, this toolbox of things that you can use to pull yourself out of situations or to return to center or
yes,
to prepare calm anxiety before entering a scary interview or
exactly.
whatever the case is, find those things
Find those things. Yep. And
and
I will
stick to
say
it.
100% prayer,
Yes.
absolutely prayer, absolutely
Mhm. Mhm.
affirmations in the
Mhm.
morning. Those are some very, very powerful
Oh,
ones
that's
that I
another.
use
Oh,
daily. Yeah, prayer
yes.
for
I have a
sure.
list of affirmations in my notes that I will read whenever, like that, when I'm really anxious or I'm
Hmm.
worried about something that's not in my control, I refer to my affirmations.
There you
Because
go.
typically, if I'm anxious, I can't really find the peace within self yet.
Hmm.
So I'm reminding myself of all the things that are true and
Hmm.
reaffirming everything's going to be just fine.
It's going
And
to
then
be
that will
fine.
lead to the breath work. And then I'm like, oh, great. Whew,
Yep.
we're
Yep.
back.
We're
We're
back.
back.
We're back. We're back on land.
It's
Yep.
scary. It's scary sometimes, right? It's so easy to be removed, but we have
Yes.
to develop this knowing of bringing ourselves back in. Ah,
Exactly.
I love
Yep.
that.
Yep. So I'm so glad. I know that we want to be mindful of time, and I'm glad that we were able
Yeah.
to share what our grounding practices are. I am happy for anyone who's watching this evening,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're watching the replay, if you want suggestions on, rooting and grounding practices in more of a capsule size summary, I'm happy to put
Mm-hmm.
that together for you and even help you develop a grounding practice of your own. As Mariah said in the very beginning, start
Mm-hmm.
simple. Start simple, start where
Mm-hmm.
you are, start small.
Mm-hmm.
No big expectations here. This
No.
is this is like for a lifestyle, right? Like this is
Yeah.
about doing these things and integrating them into your life, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily for goals and goal setting and all those things, but really bringing this into your life as a lifestyle for your
Yeah.
physical, mental, spiritual, emotional
Mm-hmm.
well-being, like all
And
around well-being.
yes, and being gentle too when you're maybe processing like grief or you're working 10 days in a row, whatever the case is, right? You may fall off of these things, but
Mhm.
remember, even if you have 5 seconds, 50 seconds, I'll say 50 seconds, 50 seconds to 50 minutes, you
Yeah.
can get it done. You can bring
Yes.
yourself back in.
Yes.
So it does not have to take long. And even if you mess up, do not penalize yourself for forgetting to do that thing you promised yourself you'd do that morning.
Yep.
There's still time,
There's still
right? As
time.
long as you're breathing, there's still time. So
There's
be
still
gentle
time.
and graceful. I have to remind, I'm saying that to you all, but I'm really saying that to myself as well.
Yeah.
Because, right,
Yeah.
we're human. We forget
Exactly.
what grounds us
Yes.
sometimes. I'm guilty
Yes.
of that.
Yes.
I am a human
Yep.
and I fall right back.
And
I
I
fall
fall
right
right
back in
back.
love with them. Yep.
I fall
Every
right
time.
back. If you've got some plants, put your hands in that soil. Don't be afraid to
Hmm.
touch the soil. Know that those good microbes are finding their way in through your skin and into your
Hmm.
body and helping you develop a more robust immune system, a
Hmm.
stronger gut that leads to a better brain. So ultimately, you're building a better brain as well when you're exposing yourself to these plants and these
Yeah.
microbes and all of these good things. So
Hmm.
just see your grounding practice as something that's helping you build a better brain as well.
Oh, I love that. Um, Something else I wanted to be sure to speak on tonight was also creating, right? This is, you're saying it's creating a better brain.
Mhm.
In creating a better brain is creating a better gut, right?
Yes.
And as I want to relate this to plants, everything that we see that's green, typically I have plants behind me. Today I have some Spanish moss that maybe you guys can see, but not a lot of green behind me, but this time. But there is so much power and intention in creating like living soil, right?
Mhm.
It being a lifestyle, seeing your brain and your body as living soil,
Mhm.
nutrient rich, energy holding soil. If things are not balanced, right? Or your soil, that being your brain or your gut, is lacking nutrients, you won't be able to thrive and carry out your daily tasks as
Mhm.
you want to,
Mhm.
right? So, just as our bodies need um, healthy foods, whole foods, we need good oxygen, we need quality sleep. Plants, they need fresh oxygen to their root
Mhm.
system, which may look like you aerating the soil.
Mhm.
They need fertilizer,
Mhm.
right? That's going to
Mhm.
help them,
Mhm.
again, grow and thrive the best they can. We also have to fertilize ourselves. So,
Yes.
um, and again, this process of creating living soil, a living lifestyle that
Mhm.
serves us and
Mhm.
that is fruitful, that has the energy and what we need to flower and to fruit
Mhm.
in the ways that
Mhm.
we want to, showing up
Mhm.
for ourselves, our community. It's all right. This investment, it's the best one you can make. So just wanted
Exactly.
to draw some parallels there
Parallels. Yep.
between
Mhm.
root systems and foliage, but also our gut and our brain and the
Exactly.
energy we emit.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I love that you shared that. And there are so many parallels. And that's what we do here on Soil, Soul, and Spirit every third Thursday.
Oh,
This month we were the fourth Thursday, but just about every third
we're here.
Thursday we are
We're here.
here. And that's what we're here to help you do is draw those parallels between
Yeah.
nature and your life, bringing more
Hmm.
nature and into your life, but also understanding, as we said from the very beginning, that there's so
Hmm.
much at your disposal to manage the stressors of everyday life, to build a better
Hmm.
brain, to feel like you're thriving and not just surviving. And for Mariah and
Hmm.
I, nature is just one of those very powerful, I hate to even use the word tool because it's not a tool, but nature is just one
It's
of those
us.
things that we
That
see.
remind us.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
reminds us. Yeah, that reminds us
Yeah.
of why we are here and, making this a place that we thrive and not just survive. So we're
Yeah.
grateful
That's
that
the
you were
goal.
able to tune in with us. Mariah, you want to take us out?
Yeah. Let's do it. So I know just really quick. We wanted to discuss some like journal prompts. So
Oh, yeah. Yep, yep.
um let's see. So I'll kind of list my three. I won't go into too much depth, but again, I'm happy to go into depth further. Please
Hmm.
reach out. We absolutely will. Um, Listing five things you're grateful for, regardless of how small.
Yes.
I feel very grateful for my breath, my wisdom, my husband,
Hmm.
who is so amazing, the color green,
Hmm.
and I feel very grateful for my family
Ah,
and my chosen family.
yes.
So even that is a really good one, whether you're verbalizing it or writing it down, just
Hmm.
making lists of gratitude.
Hmm.
Um, I know I already said too, like, how is my heart today? That's
Hmm.
something I try to ask myself, ideally daily, right? But if I don't get to it, at least weekly.
Right.
Um, and when things feel super hectic, and yes, you're not feeling in touch with your current present reality, I
Hmm.
like to do this like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 concept.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
let's think about or list, right, whether just mentally or physically, Five things that I see.
Mm-hmm.
What are four things that I can touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Three things I hear, two things I smell, and one thing I taste. We have five senses. So not
Mm.
only is this kind of using our external to bring us back in, but
Mm-hmm.
reminding ourselves that we are physical beings that, again, are always intaking things, but we need to redirect that in different
Wow.
ways and bring us back
Wow.
in.
So that was
Um,
five things I can see, four
yes. Oh,
things
yeah.
I
I
can
did say that
touch.
really fast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Three things you can hear.
Okay.
What do I hear around me? Or maybe nothing, or maybe in my head, right? What do I hear? And then two things you can smell,
Uh-huh.
and one thing you can taste.
Oh,
And
nice.
reminding yourself that you're these sensual beings that
Very
are always
nice.
experiencing in a
I
part of
love
your
that.
natural environment. So,
Yep.
and
I
then
love
when
that.
you keep doing this and you're in practice, when I'm at the park, those things are different than what are in my home.
Very
Still
nice.
beautiful, but regardless of where you are in your work environment, do I like the things I see? Do
Mm-hmm.
I like what
Mm-hmm.
I smell?
Mm-hmm.
Right? This creates this reality. So that helps me to bring myself back
Very
into.
nice. I like that. Mm-hmm. That's a very grounding, because now you've got to pay attention, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're charging. Yep. We're
Yep.
taxing ourselves to be aware and to pay attention. Hmm.
Very nice. Very nice. I got that. I'm going to put that in my journal.
I don't know, oh man, where I got that from. But yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Would you
Wonderful.
like to share a couple? Or
Well, I think for me, grounding is when I need to get myself back to baseline. What is most important to me right now?
mhm.
What is most
Ooh,
important to me right
that's a
now?
good one.
Yeah, what is most important to me right now? What do
Mhm.
I need in this moment? A third one, I generally ask myself like maybe once a week or so, what
Mhm.
maybe even once a at the start of the month for sure, but
Yeah.
also maybe once a week, what area
Mhm.
of my life needs the most care and attention right now? What area or areas of my life need the
Mm.
most care and attention from me right now? And when I
That's
ask
really
myself,
good.
yeah, it's a loaded one, and I ask myself that, and like I said, it's usually around that new moon time, because when I'm
Mhm.
writing out my intentions and when I'm being intentional about the
Wow.
month, it's like, okay,
Mhm.
new cycle, new moon, what area of my life needs the most care
Wow.
and attention right now? Right now, like where and what do I need in this moment? And I'll tell you, day to day, that one is the
Mhm.
most powerful. What do I need in this moment? Do I need to feel validated? Do I need to
Mhm.
feel heard? Do I need some space? Do I need some time? Do I need a day? Do I need some distance? Do I need
Mm.
understanding? Do I need clarity?
Mhm.
What do I need right now? And like you were saying, like right hand over your chest, for me, right
Yeah.
hand over my heart. What do
Mhm.
I need in this moment? And
Mhm.
because I'll just say this, I know we're at 7:50, but
That's okay.
I just want to say this, that
Mhm.
one of the reasons I think grounding, of all the reasons we talked about, another important reason I think grounding is so important is because like anxiety and nervousness and tension and that energy can be very infectious. And so sometimes when we are not grounded and we're all up here, we get on the phone and let me tell you what's
Mhm.
going on, and
Yeah.
pass that off to the next person. Sometimes
Mhm.
if I just take my hand over my heart and say, what do I need right now? you know, and what I discover is that I don't need to call someone up. I don't need to,
Mm.
man, I just got to tell you what happened. Or
Yeah.
and people will say things like, I just need to vent. Well, that's not always the best thing to
Your
do.
lungs are your vent.
Right. That is your vent,
Yeah.
right?
Or this is why we have paper and a pencil
This is why, right? And so
or prayer.
or prayer. And so doing these grounding practices is another way to ensure that we protect the health and well-being of
Oh,
others,
I love that.
when we're not feeling,
Mm,
you know, are at our best. So what do
mm,
I need in this moment right now? And right now, I need to feel validated. I need to feel
mm-hmm.
heard. I need to feel calm. I need to feel peace, and sometimes you're saying those things. And to
Yeah.
the point I was saying about the
Mm-hmm.
drumming, you know what?
Yeah.
I just need to calm myself down, you
Mm-hmm.
know, type of thing. So
Yep.
those are three and
I
like I said,
love that.
start of the new moon, start of the month or start of a
Yeah.
new monthly cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what area of my life needs the most care and attention from me right
Oh my gosh. I love those.
now? Yeah.
And what I think is beautiful and why I enjoy this so much is yes, I think we both come with a lot of knowledge, skills, and wisdom. But I find every time that we are interacting, not only are we sharing that with other people, but we're sharing a lot of information just like to ourselves. Like
Yeah.
you have me taking a lot of notes today. So I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for that. Not just
And
short
me
notes, like I'm
too.
writing out full sentences that you're saying
Yes.
that I'm going to hold on to, right?
Same.
And carry
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
share as much as I can.
Yeah. And
Those
put
are
in
so
my
good.
journal. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm happy to learn from you. Thank you. And thank
I
you
feel
everyone
the
for being
same.
here.
I feel so much of the same. I'm always so grateful for our time together and our time in between our time together. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing your evening with me, Mariah, and with our listeners. And for those who are tuning in after this live
Mhm.
broadcast, do feel free to follow Mariah. I'll put it in the show notes over on Instagram.
Mhm.
Follow me on Instagram. Message us and let us know,
Yeah.
hey, I listened and I'd love for you to hear more about such and such. We are
Mhm.
givers. We
Mhm.
love to share our perspective and offer you a new way of looking at your life
Mhm.
and your
Yeah.
whole life and helping you to
Mhm.
thrive in every area of your life. So we will see you next month, third Thursday, which I believe
It's
is,
do
let's see, I've got that
you
date
have it?
handy. Yeah, it's one, two,
One,
three,
two,
May
15.
15th. We
Yes.
will see you
Okay.
on May 15th, same place, same time, 7 p.m.
Yes.
for another episode of Soil, Soul, and Spirit. We'll see you
Yes.
soon.
And remember, everything that you need is already within you.
Yes.
That's what
Beautiful.
I'll leave you
Beautifully
with.
said. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mariah.
Yes, of course.
Bye bye.